Hello there. Welcome to the Kirk Minahan wrap-up show for May 21st, 24th, 2021. Today's episode was called Aftershocks because a lot of things happened in the week hiatus the show took. Uh, the case finished up. Steve Robinson is no longer a part of a show of the show, which is huge. He did announce last week or a couple weeks ago that he was not going to be a part of the show going forward. He said his last show would be Madawaska. Turns out that he's done with the show now. We're gonna have a kind of like a carousel of producers until June 28th, I believe, is when the new producer who was hired, Dave Cullinane, is going to step in. So very exciting news there. I am joined, as always, by my Monday guest, Andrew Augustus. How you doing, Andrew?
It's another day. Good couple of shows to listen to today. It was a good day. Today was a good day.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to be back after this program was canceled. For a total of one episode, but we're back doing the wrap up. So let's jump right into it. So Matt Carano was in today because Steve was planning on taking some vacation, but then we found out when the show started was that Steve will not be producing any more episodes of the Kirk Minahan Show, which was very surprising because the plan was for him to do an entire week of Kirk, Mike, and Steve for kind of a nostalgic effect. And I think Kirk realized that there's no nostalgia there for Steve himself. So he thought, well, why even have this? Why go through, why have Steve do this if he does not want to be here? So
it's one of those situations that when you think about it too, where Kirk's completely right. It's that you have to be in on it for the show and be into it because it's just going to sound terrible. And I mean, it just one goes to show you what Kirk wants to be surrounded by people who want to be here. And it's very clear because I think that's when he's at his best and everyone's at their best and you get a lot of the great content. So it was kind of a shock, but you know what? You move on. I wasn't there to listen to Big Steve. I'm there to listen to Kirk. So it's the show goes on as it will.
Yeah, and it also sounded like from today's episode was that it wasn't necessarily burnout that Steve was upset with. It sounds like from Kirk's perspective that Steve might have had more of an issue with his pay involving that. I know Kirk was talking about Friday's episode where Steve said he took a pay cut to come here and how that doesn't matter because they agreed upon something, and I completely agree with Kirk. It's something that once you kind of agree with, and if he wanted more money, I mean he could have always just asked Kirk, went up to Kirk and said, hey, look, I'm looking for a raise. I believe I should be worth this. I believe I'm worth this amount of money. But it sounds like he's on his way out, which is probably for the best, considering that, Kirk sent a long text this morning that was like, we don't need you for Madawaska. We don't need you it's probably best if you just kind of stay out. And Kirk said he was kind of expecting oh no, one more show. And Steve just replied, sounds good. So sounds like he's not missing the show.
I think he's just done. It sounds like I think it was rightly said. I think the financial burden, the financial aspect has something to do with it more than I think that was originally led on and kind of brought up to. And two, it's also going to be part burnt out because I don't think he reached a point where he just didn't like being part of the Kirk Minahan show. He loved the case, just didn't like being this character all the time, dealing with Minifans left and right. And I think he just hit that point. So
I think it's more like he did not I don't think he expected coming in to kind of not have kind of like a private life in the sense of, people are looking up pictures of his dog, people are looking up his old poems from high school. I think he was kind of hit very quickly realized when the show started a couple of years ago, got used to it. And then over time, he kind of settled back down and was like, okay, this is not who I am. So
What would you say? It's
Steve,
like some sort of buyer's remorse, maybe some that thought would
yeah, a little
come
bit.
3-4 months in, not 2 years in. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I think a big shock of it is having this buyer's remorse this far into it.
Yes. So I mean, that's it for Steve. There's not going to be. Andrew, do you think we ever hear from Steve again in not on a phone setting?
So in studio,
Correct.
I don't think he comes back in studio. I think he calls in once in a while, and the next time
I don't think he ever calls in. I think they call him.
that's what I'm thinking. It's going to be
Yep.
a call. I'll reach a call and he'll just pick up, play along. Ha, 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 I'm doing good because he'll never make the initiative. But when he will become a part of the show, will be in like maybe 6 months, 7 months from now when he has some sort of other gig in a media field. He's staying in media some way, shape, or form, I think. And when that happens, no matter how hard he tries to hide it, the
Yes.
award is going to be out there to find
That's
it.
the thing. Yeah.
He's out
Hopefully,
there to
hopefully
find
wherever he
it.
goes, he explains to his
Oh,
new
I
boss, or maybe he'll be his
guarantee
own boss.
if
That
he has to know that though. He has to know if he tries to go back into any way, shape, form of media. That's I mean, one that's a selling. If he's smart, he can use it as a selling point. Like, look, there's going
Yep.
to be people that are just going to naturally listen to do this. So
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I can only imagine if they take phone calls or what's going to happen with
first
all
day of
that.
phone calls dead.
Yes. So, but like Kirk said, he wishes Steve the best. He was trying to because Kirk was saying, he's had beefs with his other producers, with Ken and Curtis, and he's like, this is not this at all. Steve's the hardest working producer he's ever worked with, and it's just time. Some all great things must come to an end, and Steve is his time with the Kirk Minahan world is over.
I'm just
So
excited for the Kirk Minahan Mercedes Benz reads that are going to be coming this way.
yeah. So what are your thoughts on Cullinane?
It's a natural fit. I think the big question I think all the listeners and all the Minute fans were having would he be able to get him away from Jerry, like not wanting to ruin that relationship, and would that
Mm-hmm.
even be a realistic possibility? And it seems like that's happening fine. That's great, and it's Cullinane's always been true to himself and has shown out who his colors are and what he loves to do. So this
Yep.
has got to be a dream opportunity for him, and he'd be a fool not to take it.
Yeah, I'm glad that Jerry didn't get in the way of this. I'm not a Jerry fan for a multitude of reasons. But I'm glad that he was able to see that, this would be beneficial to not only Kirk, but also to Cullinane himself. And I'm sure he's making more money and, there's more exposure. It's a bigger show. So I'm glad that Jerry did not pull a selfish move and try to sabotage the show for his own gain. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I think Cullinane is going to be a very different show, like Kirk said, than with Steve. It's going to be much more. I don't want to say laid back because I don't think that's Cullinane's style. I think it's more like casual, but it's kind of like fast casual. It's not like laid back. Cullinane's a funny guy. He's definitely going to play a different role in the universe than Steve did. So I'm excited to see it. June 28th. We got little over a month until he starts, which is quite some time for this all to get.
It's going to be good. So the show's going to keep on rolling, and I think one of the things that when we had Menners on Kirk and off for this little kind of Steve send-off special, he's right. He's like the bet some of the show's best days might be ahead, and they very well could be. So I think it's going to be like a new. It's always when you get like that new toy that comes in. It's like, all right, I had this, and now get the new shiny toy. You're going to have a good fun period, and then he's going to settle in and find his own ways. And I even think the Cullinane of now is different than the Cullinane that first came in and did those 3 weeks when Steve was gone. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot more fun to see. Like, even you think about it, when he first started going with Jerry, he kind of like got away from the world a little bit, and then has always been there, but it's kind of was on the back burner. So he's back full action, and I think he's ready to go. Even if his video kind of looked like a high hostage video, but
Yeah.
you do what you can.
Yeah, good thing I wasn't in charge of that video. I would have pulled the plug halfway through and said, "You know what? We're cutting this off." But Yeah, no. So I'm excited. In the meantime, we kind of have, like I said, a carousel of producers coming in. We had Matt Carano today. I don't know, or Carano. I'm not entirely sure. I forget how to pronounce it every
It's
Carano.
Grant. Yeah.
How did you think he did today?
He does what he does. He's good. It's a good fill-in, and I think it's Kirk is right where I think he would get sick of him on a regular schedule. So every once now and then, it's a good breath of fresh air. He gets a good variety. I appreciate the plug. He kept trying to put in with Kirk and all because of his dislike of John from Scranton. So
yes, I wanted to get to that. So I think Matt did a great job today. Sounded great. We'll get to the Tim's prank phone call in a little bit, but I wanted to talk about this John from Scranton sound, which I think is exactly the reason why Kirk does not believe that Matt Carano could be his full-time producer. Carano obviously came in to the show thinking, "Oh, I need to play this sound." He's not a fan of John. He has a compilation of him saying like over and over again, and he was going to sneak into the show no matter what. Now, I don't think Kirk had a problem with that. I think Kirk just had a problem when he was like, "So you hate John?" And he was like, "No, I don't." It's like you just got to come out and say it, Matt. You just got to come out and say it and say you're playing the sound because you do not like this man.
And eventually you come to it after some teeth pulling. But yeah, you got to come up and be like, "Yeah, I'm playing this because I don't like this person." Like it's a good way. It's a funny. The door is there, and I appreciate everyone who came on. I appreciate Matt. He spoke with me about it too, so it was fun. And he's great. Matt's a good guy. I like Matt. So
yeah, I love Matt. I hope there's he fills in a couple more times in these next in this next month or two. But you have to admit that sound was not worth playing on the show.
I mean, I think there were some other pieces I would have pulled maybe a little more with Menners, because if you wanted to go full, I mean, it's even at the point of the show when they brought it up, like the time to talk about it is if he could have somehow found a way more when they were talking about Steve than kind of picking it up at the end with the breaks. It just didn't feel right to fit in there. But there's some parts I think you can always get the juicy soundbite, but at least he brought up the prank phone calls.
Yes. So let's get into Tim's prank phone call, because I don't know what to think of this prank phone call. My honest truth is when I was listening to it, I think, is this guy having a stroke like on air? Because he just at one point he just stops everything and he's just like, I'm like, how is he not dumping this or at least reacting to it? So at one point, so Tim calls up and he starts talking about how Blind Mike loves fisting, elbow deep in Madawaska, and about how he's going to get all these boys to fist together and all this lube and this poor radio host of God knows what station is just sitting there going, yep.
So a little behind the scenes of this, the original file, so not the one that Tim put on Twitter with the edits. The original file for the length that Tim from Canton was on the air with this gentleman was 3 minutes and 51 seconds.
Jesus Christ.
3 minutes and 51 seconds of being on the air.
And at any point was he like, wait a second, you're talking about fisting?
Nope. He didn't know what it was.
Or then at the end, I think Tim even he gave up at one point. He was like, I don't know what to say. And then at one point he says, what about that pizza place you guys mentioned two weeks ago? And the guy's like, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, still got the jizz topping.
The whole thing.
I can't believe, I don't think anyone could believe that this was a real thing. Apparently, rumor has it is that there's a follow-up to this. So hopefully this will be played on Wednesday's show.
I'm hoping so. You got the follow-up. There was a phone call before Tim's that was on even earlier. So hopefully that can make its way to the show.
I can't believe that was it just seemed fake. Just to hear the jizz topping on the pizza, and some guys like
I want to say it was like last month that we had another caller call in, and I think he was on in his very his very fake voice was
Mhm.
on for 8 minutes of a back and forth conversation
That's
with his
crazy.
radio host.
It's
So
crazy. I love it. I just love the fact that like these other radio hosts will just don't give a fuck and they'll just put anyone on, and they'll just let them ramble. They'll just kill time. That's all they're doing is killing time.
I mean, that's even like the point when someone called into the trading post and it was Tim called into the trading post and
Yeah,
gave away Ziggy to a good home.
yeah. But I mean, at least that there's like a point to it. Like I don't know what this guy's show was about, what he was taking calls on, but I don't think he was taking calls on people getting fisted or jizz on pizza.
No, he was
So
talking about like the Super Six Power Summit of the six world leaders, or all the like Illuminati stuff,
I
and that
like it.
Trump was trying to break it up, and that's why
Good,
there was the power meeting in Madawaska, which
good. I like it. I like it. Yes, the power meeting in Madawaska. So that's the other thing that came out of today. So Madawaska, a couple weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. Let's say three, or almost 3 weeks away. It's shaping up good. It's I got pretty much everything all planned out. We talked to Big Rick on the phone today. He is going to be, trying to get the permit from the town. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend this meeting.
trying to get the permit. I think he's getting the permit.
Yeah, I think he's getting the permit too. But so it was kind of a little bit of a controversy on the show today that I will not be attending this town meeting in Madawaska. So John Featherston reached out. He's kind of like, the public meetings guy. He knows like, all the bureaucratic things.
Once or twice. He's been around the
Yeah.
block.
So he reached out, in his fancy town spokesman speak and talk to them, and he got this on there. And I believe it's going to be a virtual meeting, 5:30 tomorrow, and there is a link to watch it live. And I believe John might be speaking at some point. So that is something to look forward to. I'm really hoping that Madawaska ends up naming a street Kirk Minahan Street, because if not, then I don't know. I'm gonna have to go up there and start tearing down street signs. It's not going to be fun. But where are you?
And arrested.
I can't speak today. Do you think I should have went up to Madawaska for this, or do you believe that my services? Because my thought process was, if I go up there for Tuesday, I'm not entirely sure I'd be able to get back there by Wednesday morning and help Craig out with the.
I can understand that train of thought, especially because like, you think about it, your best case scenario is what you would have left.
I was going to leave 4 a.m. No, I was going to leave 4 a.m. tomorrow. It takes me 8 hours. I live about 8 hours from Madawaska. Drive up there, get there at like 2, take a nap, go to the town meeting, drive back, drive directly to the studio, sleep in my car, and just go in and help Craig out. But
if you pulled that off from a content standpoint, it would have been great. I think it would have been funny just like to even like see you just getting like doing a 5-minute live stream of a summary of the day as you're sleeping in the show parking lot would have brought out content. But
yes.
I understand your concern from a production standpoint, especially with someone who hasn't been in there before, has used the phone system, but hasn't been up. Producing the Blind Mike project is different than producing the Kirk Minahan show. And I think having that, having those extra hands there is going to be beneficial in the long run, to be minimal mistakes. Cause I still expect some mistakes to happen, but
yes.
I was shocked to hear that you weren't going at first. And then it makes sense. And as long as if Featherston gets on, that's going to be great. Just to have a Minifan, just to be presented to a public body, a public official body, is just going to be something fantastic. It's the last two, like anything court or legal reasons I paid attention to and took time to was the Supreme Court hearing here in Superior Court in Massachusetts. And then now we'll be Featherston for tomorrow. So let's lock it. Let's go.
let's go Madawaska. I mean, this is kind of a make it or break it moment. Like, do we come back next year? We no longer have the Steve connection. Do we come back next year? I don't know if they rename a street Kirk Minahan Street. It's kind of hard to not come back for these next couple of years. If they don't, and they just take this man's generosity for granted, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where we're going next year?
What
Maybe
other
we're going to
has had 3 agenda items on a town council or a city council meeting? All not even like to have like just pulling a permit for something, but one is because you're bringing in people in. The Inn and Acadia is getting the booze license back because we're all coming at this point.
I think they just needed to renew their booze license.
No, I'm owning this one. You think about it, in a nice little town like that, they might not have to. There's other options. Like, this is a good opportunity. But it's, again, the Kirk Minahan show is saving Madawaska every year.
Yes. So let's hope they make the right decision. And there's a couple things I wanted to. So on today's episode, it was funny. Mike was like, yeah, I don't really know how Justin feels about me. And I said, Mike has his ups and downs. I love Mike. He's a funny guy. I just like, just fucking around with him. So he doesn't really know where I stand on him, because I don't know, he's just fun. But I will say, so what Kirk was talking about about how I use my laptop.
Yeah, this was going to be my question before we left. Like, how ridiculous do you look?
I have a laptop.
Okay.
What I'll do is I go like this.
That is so weird. Like, I can see why you would do it if you can't see.
Yeah, I don't have great eyesight. I have juvenile macular degeneration.
You look like a velociraptor. Just
So that's my little thing with laptops and things. Because like I said, I don't have the best eyesight, but it is what it is. Is there anything else from today's episode you wanted to talk about?
No, I think Kurt, it's the way the show went today. He just closed the chapter and started a new one. And as a listener, I appreciate that. It's like, all right, we're moving on to the next thing. And you hear it. Steve is the best producer Kirk has ever had. And and you can't take that away from him for anything. So I'm excited for the next show on Wednesday. And the one question that I have is, how's Cullinane's trivia ability? Is this going to be Rico, Jared, Kirk? Is Cullinane going to play?
Jared's not rejoining.
So. He's done? He's just done?
Well, I'm just going to assume that, Kirk's just not going to let you back on the team after you quit like that.
Oh, that's true. That's that. So I guess, Cullinane, you're up. I hope he knows his geography.
Yeah. Let's hope, because I just don't see a scenario in which Kirk's like we said, the entire theme of today's episode was he wants people who want to be there. Jared does not want to be on trivia.
He did it. He did until his baseball questions were ridiculous.
Yeah. So that is what it is. That pretty much does it for today's episode. Looking forward to Wednesday's episode with Craig, the Craigster. He's coming in. He'll be producing. And we will talk to you on Wednesday.